comes a point where you see so many consecutive shows that just show you the same shit. And what I'm talking about is all these Raws in a row that just have 3 good segments, that have a good open and a decent close. Everything else in the middle doesn't mean anything. It's all filler. You didn't miss anything if you didn't see it. And it would, they had like 3 good segments and this show had its moments. I'm sick and tired of having to say that every single Monday. And the fact that, I'm not of the insane group of wrestling fans. Most of the guys who do reviews on YouTube are not of the insane group of wrestling fans, and I will tell you what I mean by that. The literal definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing, hoping for a different result. I believe that is one of the literal definitions of insanity. That you continue to do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result despite failure. And, I'm not like that. I don't go into a Raw saying, I'm expecting this to be a great show. In fact, I go into every Raw thinking this is going to be terrible. And if it's even halfway decent, then it's above my expectations. But, it's been the same for so many weeks now. To the point where you almost can't even put it into words anymore. And you don't even feel like you can get on and do something as simple as a review for YouTube. Because you're going to feel like you are the most repetitive, redundant fucking asshole on the face of the planet. But I come on here to do reviews because this is something that, you guys seem to enjoy. To this point, last week's review went over with flying colors, got 2,800 fucking views in 24 hours. What the actual fuck? But you guys seem to enjoy it, and, I honestly enjoy making the reviews more so than I enjoy actually watching the show. Because I get to come on here and just rant and rave and just let out a side of me that never comes out in any other part of my life. Most people in my life never get to see that shouty, yelly, just passionate, just in your face, just brutal side of me. But you guys do. And that's part of the reason why I enjoy this, because there is a side of me and a part of my personality that I get to show and put on display here through YouTube that doesn't really get seen in other areas of my life. So regardless, greetings people of the interwebs, it is Dan here. Holy shit. Raw tonight. Okay. Honestly, the first hour and a half was actually passable somewhat to a degree. If they would have taken that first hour and a half and just ended the show there, I would have come on here and said, wasn't as bad as weeks past. But they had to continue and put on that second goddamn hour and a half, didn't they? So, Raw for March the 20th, 2017, live from, was it the Barclays Center? Were they, I can't remember whether or not they were at the Barclays Center or some other venue in Brooklyn, but they were in Brooklyn, New York. So you knew that this was a smart crowd who knew what the hell they were talking about, who knew what the hell they wanted, and were going to voice their opinion, and they didn't give a shit who thought it was bad or not. So we opened up with a recap of last week's golden segment to end Raw with Foley, Triple H, Stephanie, and Seth Rollins. That got me hyped as hell for this show. And then to open the proper show, Foley comes out down the ramp to start, not looking happy. Straightforward, no bullshit. He does a little bang-bang on his way down the ramp. But, the crowd loves him, of course. Foley starts reading off of fucking cue cards that he pulled out of his pocket, making him seem like a little apologetic puppet. And initially there was just a tease of him potentially quitting. And then says, effective immediately, that he is taking a leave of absence. And then he says, he rips those cards up and says, index cards. Fucking index cards. They gave me index cards. Triple H, 10 minutes before I came out here, gave me index cards. I am Mick goddamn Foley. You do not hand me index cards. And then he begins to just yell and shout, pretty much air all his dirty laundry. And then his mic begins to cut in and out and in and out and in and out. Clearly, it's being fucked with in the back. He's, and you knew that this was a part of the show. You knew that this was a part of the story. It wasn't just a fluke mic issue. He kept getting his mic cut out, and then he'd whack it a couple of times, and then he'd start talking into it because it was working again, and then it'd cut out, and then it'd cut back in. So it was really dumb. And then Steph comes out. Here she comes, being a dick as usual. She says that Mick constantly screws everything up, even his farewell address. Steph says that Mick is all about him being liked and nothing else, that this shouldn't be about him, and that this shouldn't be about the fans. That shows you exactly what Vince McMahon feels about the fans. He gives this to the fans. He will give this to the fans. Fuck you. That's what he'll say to the fans. And that is essentially what came through with Stephanie McMahon talking to Mick Foley tonight. Excuse me. Says that he can't make the tough decisions, so she will have to make one for him. Says, Mick Foley, you're fired. He starts to get out of the ring, and then Sami Zayn comes down to the ring because babyface? They're totally misusing this guy. Send him. I genuinely thought that this was going to lead to Sami getting fired the same show, and I would have celebrated because he would have gone to SmackDown. I was hoping and praying. I was sitting there hoping, please fire Sami Zayn. Please let Sami Zayn get fired. Because then that would mean he could go over to SmackDown and be used properly and be in the hunt for at least an IC title. At the very, very least, this guy deserves an IC title. If anything, a world title. So Zayn comes out with no fancy entrance, just a microphone, says that what Steph is doing to Mick is wrong, says that she's been wrong about a lot of her decisions, but no one has had the balls to tell her to her face. This is where I was thinking, oh God, they're going to fire Sami, and I am going to celebrate like no one else. Excuse me. Then Foley is telling Sami to just walk away, to just get out of the ring. There's CM Punk chants raining down on Stephanie McMahon during all this, by the way. Says that Foley has shown more class. This is Sami. Sami Zayn says that Mick Foley has shown more class in 9 months as general manager than Stephanie has in her entire life. Says that she should be ashamed of herself for trying to turn Foley into a corporate yes man. This is where I was thinking, fire him. Fire him. Fire him now, so we can go over to SmackDown and be treated properly. Steph says that Sami isn't on the level to even speak to her at all, and then tells him to go to the back. Sami says that she is right, that he would be smart to go to the back, but he's not about doing the smart thing, but the right thing. Then Samoa Joe comes down. Steph simply says, she's good. Joe, I don't need any help here. Then tells Foley to get out once and for all. Then says Sami's mouth got him in trouble once again, and that he will be going against Samoa Joe, and that match would be happening right now. I do a terrible, I can't, my voice isn't high enough to do a Stephanie impression, especially at this hour of the night. So anyway, went to commercial, came back to Joe versus Zayn. This was actually a good match. I actually really enjoyed this. I enjoyed this match more than their match at Fastlane. Because I was expecting so much out of their match at Fastlane and so little out of this match on Monday Night Raw. To the point where, like, the expectations, my feelings towards the match at Fastlane were all, oh, why? And then my feelings toward this match were actually like, oh, that came out better than expected. And before the match even started, Sami pulled a plancha out and hit Joe, and then it faded to black to commercial. So he did his little bounce off the ropes, dive over the top with a flip in there spot to get a pop out of the fans. And then we come back to typical babyface Sammy getting the crap beat out of him. And then, Joe, a couple of times during this match, was getting Sammy up in the corner. He was teasing the Muscle Buster. He is teasing that Muscle Buster real hard. And believe me, when he finally pulls it out, the venue that he pulls it out in is going to go batshit crazy. But he was teasing the Muscle Buster once again tonight. And then he dumped Sammy out of the ring. And then Joe, 280-pound Samoa Joe, did a goddamn suicide dive. Good God. Like, how... And he pulled it off like a cruiserweight. Like, Joe pulled that suicide dive off like a cruiserweight. The man's 280 pounds. What the hell? This man is a freak. Sammy was on the outside. Joe was trying to get back in the ring to just get a count-out victory. Sammy just barely beats the 10 count, and then actually got a near fall on a diving crossbody. And then they both get dumped out of the ring, and then Joe is stumped over by the ring post. Sammy backs up. He goes for his jumping through the ropes near the turnbuckle DDT thingamajig, and his through the ropes corner through the rope buckles DDT tornado thingy. You know what I mean? And then he nearly got a count-out victory off of that, but Joe got back in at the 9 count, and then Joe countered a haluva kick into a big slam into the coquina clutch. Sammy taps out. That's it. Joe wins this match. Again, as I said, I enjoyed this match way more than their match at Fastlane, just because it was a little bit more competitive. You had Sammy getting a little bit more offense in, and again, as I said, their match at Fastlane, I had such high expectations for. This match on Raw, I had such low expectations for, so it just worked out. Then Foley, whenever we came back from commercial, was back with Sami Zayn after the match. Foley says that what Zayn did was ballsy. Zayn says that Raw needs Mick and that he can't leave. Foley says that Raw needs people like Sammy. They hug and Foley starts heading back, runs into Sheamus and Cesaro, the unexpected face tag team that they are. They thank him for putting them together. He then runs into Bayley backstage. Essentially, that run-in with Sheamus and Cesaro was just them saying, hey, thanks for putting us together, blah, blah, blah. Who'd have known that we'd be like bitter enemies turned into close friends? You get the gist. And then he ran into Bayley backstage. They hug, and then Triple H is just standing right there, leaning up against some crates. Just this big old shit-eating grin on his face, man. Oh, I love Triple H. I love this man. He is golden. He is golden. I love Triple H. He's just standing there with this big old shit-eating grin on his face. He pauses, smiles, looks at Mick Foley and says, "Have a nice day." Great shit. Great stuff there from Triple H. Talking about an update on Rollins. They had actually, was this the one? Yeah. So, they had a medical update on Seth Rollins after this. They say that he's training, he's determined to make it to Mania. They cut to that guy, Kevin Wilk, that Triple H was talking about a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw whenever they were in Chicago, and he was mocking CM Punk by talking about how great their fucking medical staff is. They cut to Kevin Wilk from Birmingham, Alabama. I knew the instant that they brought a personal trainer into this and saying, oh, he's not going to be able to make WrestleMania. I knew from that second on, this is a giant troll job. This is a massive troll job. But they cut to the guy from Birmingham, says that Seth is doing miraculously well, says that Seth probably won't be ready for Mania, says that a normal person in his condition would take months to get back to be able to compete. And that no one would clear him for Mania, and that's whenever I was automatically like, this is a giant troll job, right? Like, this is a massive troll job. It's just that's all. So that's all that you needed to know from that medical update from the doctor on Seth Rollins, is that this is all a massive troll job. Then we had Charlotte versus Dana Brooke, and honestly, I was pleasantly surprised by this match, as hard as that is to say. Like, I was expecting Dana to have, like, 10 botches during the match and fucking just, like, Charlotte tap her out with the figure 8 in, like, 3 minutes. No, but actually, this was actually a decent match, and Dana looked okay. I mean, I'm not saying she looked great, and I'm not saying that she looked absolutely incredible, but I'm saying that she looked okay. She looked alright in this match. But I will say this. Whenever Charlotte came out, just to me, she looks weird without the title belt around her waist. She really does, because even though she had like 4 title reigns in 2016, she held the belt for so much of 2016 that you just expect to see that belt around her waist every time that she comes through from the back. But, it's just, I don't know why. It just, to me, that popped into my head when she walked out. It's like, she looks weird without the title belt around her waist. And by the way, she looked fan-fucking-tastic tonight. In regards to Charlotte's looks, there's usually like 2 sides to the fence here. You either think that she's insanely attractive, or you don't find her attractive hardly at all. I am by far on the attractive side of the fence. Oh my god, and she looked better than usual tonight. She looked absolutely fine as fuck. So, she was looking good for a match tonight, and she ended up performing good in her match tonight as well. Dana apparently has been working on her fitness. She did a goddamn flip on the ramp during her entrance, so clearly she's been working on getting herself back in shape from all that catering she's been eating the last several months in between Superstar and Raw tapings, or anytime after Superstar tapings when she's been eating from Jack Swagger's cookies and frickin' like, Kurt Hawkins breaded chicken hawk wings or whatever the hell. She's been working on that to get that better. Dana, like I said, actually did look good in this match. She looks better on her own, honestly, than she ever did with Charlotte. But, despite Dana getting in a lot of offense and getting in a lot of punches and rest holds and throwing Charlotte into the corner and just getting over her and honestly looking dominant throughout this match, Charlotte won very abruptly on a big boot over Dana Brooke. So Charlotte did win in a pretty quick match over Dana Brooke on a big boot. Then we had Stephanie in the back again. She ran into Bayley, offers Bayley a hug. Bayley says no, says that she admired Stephanie growing up, but since she came to the WWE 7 months ago, since she was brought to the WWE 7 months ago by MICK Foley right here in Brooklyn, New York. I love that, man, getting the cheap pop Foley style. But since then, she has done nothing but abuse her power to be a dick to everybody else, essentially is what she said in fewer words. Stephanie says that Bayley will have to Stephanie says that it takes a strong woman to be the Raw Women's Champion as well, and that Bayley will have to show that strength tonight because she has a rematch against Nia Jax. Oh my god. And in this one, if Nia wins, she will be inserted into the title match at Mania. It will become a fatal 4-way match for Bayley's title at WrestleMania 33. So you knew what was going to happen in that match, but hey, it was decent to at least get Nia into something to give her the opportunity to get into the championship match. And then we came upon one of the 2 best segments of the night, in my opinion. This was the long-awaited highlight reel with Chris Jericho, where he was exposing the real Kevin Owens. Now, if you can find this on WWE's YouTube channel, or if you can go back and rewatch this in any way, shape, or form, please do so, because I will do it absolutely zero justice by what I say here, because it was absolutely incredible. Chris Jericho was ripping on the mic tonight. It was unbelievable. Y2J does his normal over shtick, says that he will expose the real Kevin Owens, and then he shows a picture of Kevin Owens at 16 in his basement, wearing a Y2J t-shirt, and then the way he worded it, he said, and look, he has a Chris Jericho poster on one side, and some random chesty blonde on the other. Says that he was a fan of Jericho. He was marking out, man, and I loved that he used the term marking out. Normally that's a word that, wrestlers don't use in the ring or during promos, but I thought it was incredible that he was marking out, man. I loved that. says that he reached out to Y2J actually in 2014 after he got signed to WWE. Jericho was honest, said that he didn't really know anything about him at all, but he gave him some solid advice in their Twitter DMs back and forth. Apparently Owens said that he did not want to piss anybody off. Apparently due to recent events, he doesn't care about that anymore. Said that Kevin Owens was not his friend, said that he was not Kevin Owens' friend, said that he was Kevin Owens' hero, that he was Kevin Owens' idol. Says that when his music hits at WrestleMania and he comes down the ramp, he's going to realize who he's facing, that he is facing the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, the best in the world at what he does, the GOAT, his hero, his idol, Y2J, Chris Jericho. And if he thinks that it hurt losing the Universal title, just think how much it's going to hurt losing at WrestleMania, you stupid idiot. Unbelievable. Unbelievable from Chris Jericho. He just went on a ripping promo right there for about 2 or 3 minutes. He just went non-stop on the microphone, no pauses. So, I thought that was absolutely incredible from Y2J. And then he goes, and you know what happens, Kevin Owens? Crowd goes nuts. Says, you know what happens when you stab Y2J in the back? You know what happens when you betray Chris Jericho? He's about to put him on the list. He lifts his pen up. Joe comes out onto the ramp to distract Jericho. KO attacks him from behind, does a pop-up powerbomb. Classic emotionless Kevin Owens stare down at Chris Jericho. And then he picks up the list, throws Y2J's pen out, throws the clipboard, takes the papers out, and rips the list up. I don't think I saw this crowd more disappointed tonight, other than when Roman Reigns came to the ring. That was the only time that I saw the crowd even as close to as disappointed as they were when that list got ripped in half. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Then, oh dear God, they mentioned that the rematch versus Reigns and Braun Strowman would be the main event, because of fucking course it is, because it's Roman Reigns! Because you got Vincent K. McMahon there in the back and fucking, well, Vince! Fucking beaver-toothed Kevin Dunn back there. Who the fuck is this Samoa Joe guy? He's eating too many McDoubles, man. Who the fuck is this Sami Zayn guy? He's so much thinner than Roman Reigns. Fuck him. You know, fucking beaver-toothed Kevin Dunn and Vincent K. McMahon are back there fucking, and Kevin Dunn's probably sucking off Vince McMahon and with his fucking beaver teeth. Either that or he's motorboating Dana Brooke's massive fucking tits with his teeth. I don't know which one. He's having too much fun because he can't choose which one he wants to do first. Whether he wants to suck off Vince McMahon and caress his testicles, or whether he wants to motorboat Dana Brooke's massive tits. Anyway, they did in fact mention that Reigns versus Strowman would be the main event, because of fucking course. This is Roman Reigns, the colossal failure we're talking about here, so of course you know that they are going to continue to try to push him down our throats. Whew! Then after that, we had Cruiserweight action, the piss break match of the evening. We had TJ Perkins versus Brian Kendrick. Kendrick wins quick on a sliced bread after a ref distraction to TJP. No more needs to be said. Kendrick calls out Tozawa, says that he's taught him lesson after lesson after lesson, and that he's not even coming out here. You know, I'm a sitting duck, he says. But unfortunately, Kendrick says, he isn't even in the country right now. And to travel, Kendrick thinks you might need this, and he holds up the dude's fucking passport. He stole his passport, which I think is kind of illegal? If you know anything about the law and know for a fact whether or not that's illegal, comment down below, let me know. Because I think that might be illegal, what Kendrick did. He's like, oh, well, he just left this by his bag in the locker room. Tip lesson number 7, never watch what you leave just laying around in the locker room. Dude, I think that's illegal, what you have just done. But then Roman Reigns gets booed to hell backstage in a segment, says that the only time because Charlie Caruso walked up and asked, oh, well, what are you thinking, going into your Mania match with The Undertaker? He says, the only time that I think of the dead man is when he's going to be laying in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania after I beat him. That's a heel move! And then he says that as for tonight, he has to show Braun not to piss him off, and that this is his yard now. When did The Undertaker lose his yard, Roman? Tell me. That is what this match is built around at WrestleMania. It being eliminated from the Royal Rumble, and whose yard it is. When did The Undertaker ever lose his yard? Tell me! Because I don't know. It has been The Undertaker's yard ever since 1991 when he won his first world title against Hulk Hogan. It has been The Undertaker's yard for the last 26 years, and it will not stop being The Undertaker's yard no matter whether he wins or loses at WrestleMania. It will continue to be The Undertaker's yard whenever Roman is in an old age home, rocking back and forth with his great-grandkids and fucking, watching old WWE shit reminiscing about his glory days. It's still gonna be The Undertaker's yard. It's still gonna be The Undertaker's yard, even whenever Mark Calloway is dead and buried 6 feet under. It will still be The Undertaker's yard, no matter what. Because there is no figure more respected in the history of professional wrestling than The Undertaker. There is no single person who has garnered more respect in the history of professional wrestling than Mark Calloway. This will always be The Undertaker's yard. No matter whether or not it's a passing of the torch, no matter whether or not it's the coronation of Roman Reigns. What the fuck was WrestleMania 32? If this is meant to be his coronation, winning against The Undertaker, which he does not deserve, by the way, doesn't even deserve to be in the goddamn ring with The Undertaker, but yet they think he deserves to, beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Send him over to SmackDown. Let Ryan Ward and Triple H be the creative minds in control of this man's push. Because they will know what to do. They will know to turn him heel. Unfortunately, he will probably have already beaten The Undertaker by that point. Excuse me. Sorry, my dog was moving around back there and I was wondering why. It's nothing. Anyway, probably, he'll probably have already beaten The Undertaker by that point and everybody's going to hate him forever at that point. But I feel like if you just handed him over to Ryan Ward and Triple H, that, they would sort of have like a Hogan-esque type of moment, where, the crowd is going to get so into him as a heel that they're going to say, you know what, I'm okay with Reigns now. I heard JD mention this in Off the Script this weekend, that all the greats went through a heel run. Stone Cold went through a heel run. The Rock went through a heel run. The Undertaker went through a heel run. Hulk Hogan went through a heel run. John Cena was even a goddamn heel. Think about that. John Cena, even at one point, was a heel. Not necessarily at the peak of his popularity, but he was a heel at one point or another. All of the greats. Ric Flair was one of the greatest heels of all time. Shawn Michaels, one of the greatest heels of all time. What more do I need to say? All of the greats, all of the legends went through a heel run, and if you want Roman Reigns to be great, you are holding him back from being great by not allowing him to have a heel run. So anyway, that's my rant done on Roman for the night. And we still got to do the main event later in the review. Jesus fucking Christ. But then we had Stephanie McMahon again backstage with Sheamus and Cesaro. Says that they will have to earn a spot at Mania, even though they already have in a way. That they are going to have to be in a 4-on-2 handicap versus Anderson and Gallows and Enzo and Cass. What? 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 You have a heel tag team partnering with a babyface tag team. Excuse me, what? Makes no goddamn sense. Anyway, then after that, we had Bayley versus Nia Jax in a no disqualification match. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. When Stephanie booked this match with Bayley, she found it a bit unfair that Nia got disqualified in their last match, so she made this one a no DQ. If Bayley loses, then the match at Mania will become a fatal 4-way, as I mentioned before. Nia got into the ring and pointed at the goddamn sign. Look, I'm pointing at a sign in my room. It's one of those cheesy plastic street signs that you can buy with your name on it. But it's a sign. I'm pointing at it. Does that mean I get to go to WrestleMania? Does that mean that I'm going to the ultimate thrill ride? Which isn't going to be a thrill ride to begin with. But Nia Jax points at the goddamn sign. Bayley was starting to go for submissions right off the bat, trying to, cut off the air supply of Nia Jax, but Nia was simply too powerful. Sasha and Charlotte were looking on from backstage, and what is the deal with these Kevin Dunn shots of, these people looking on from backstage? Ooh, like Neville looking on at Austin Aries' match last week from backstage. And this week, Charlotte and Sasha looking on at this Nia and Bayley match from backstage. I don't get it. And right off the bat, pretty soon into this match, you had chants going off, many chants, one of them being, delete, 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 delete. I'd like for you to delete Monday Night Raw, please. If you could delete Monday Night Raw and start completely over from scratch, that would be magnificent. If you could delete Vince McMahon from any WWE involvement whatsoever, that'd be great. If you could delete, if you could delete fucking Beavertooth Kevin Dunn from holding any stance in WWE, that'd be great. Nia throws Bayley ragdoll style into the barricades, looked like a fucking tank with that spot. She just held Bayley like this, swung her to one side, swung her to the other, swung her to one side, swung her to the other, just ragdoll style into the barricade. Then she tried to introduce a steel chair, but Bayley countered it with a kick to the face while Nia was holding the chair, so that rendered that obsolete. So Bayley makes a small comeback, goes for a couple of pinfalls, but Nia kicks out. Then Nia pins Bayley, 1, 2, 3, rather abrupt end. Fatal 4-way confirmed at Mania, but your champion loses again. What is the deal with Raw and having their champions lose on free television? They must just be hooked on having their champs lose on free television. I don't get that. I don't understand why they just love to make their champions look like a joke. But, hey, what can I say? Then next, we had what was, in my opinion, the best segment of the night. It was the Triple H in-ring interview. Says, he's of course over as hell. Everyone loves the guy, even though he's a heel. He says, how are you guys doing? He says, I am having a nice day. Yes, continued, heat garnered from Mick Foley's firing. Michael Cole, who is conducting this in-ring interview, asks Triple H what he thinks of the diagnosis of Rollins. H says that he is disappointed, that he's in the best shape of his life, and that he's wanted this fight for a long time. Says that he should not be the one held partially responsible, that Seth is responsible, that he made a mistake by not listening to them and starting to listen to the crowd. Says that Seth has needed justification from the crowd, but that Triple H never needed that from the fans. Says that Foley was a prime example, that he got hooked to the cheers, that he got hooked to the roar of the crowd. Says that it's the fans' fault because they got him hooked, and that the fans got guys like Foley and Rollins addicted and caused this to guys like Foley and Rollins. says that the crowd lost it when Seth Rollins dropped the crutch, thought that Rollins was going to get in and kick Triple H's ass, and that thought lasted for all of about 30 seconds before he took that crutch and beat Rollins with it and left him in a crippled heap in the ring. Then they once again recapped the golden segment from last week. Triple H says that was on the fans because they once again cheered and got Seth hooked and caused him to take too many risks. Cole says Seth used to be Triple H's protege, and that relationship went sour very quickly. Triple H says that he thought Rollins was the future when he saw him for the first time, and that he took him under his wing, and he says that people call Rollins the architect, but yet he was the one who gave him the blueprints to make it. That was an incredible line. I know that some people may just skim over that line, but I thought that was incredible. Saying, oh, well, Seth Rollins is the architect. Guess what? I was the one that wrote up the blueprints. I thought that was incredible. So, then what happened, just like all these little millennials in the arena, these are the words of Triple H, by the way, says, oh, and then what happened, just like all these millennials here in this arena, when Rollins got knocked down and didn't have anybody there to pick him up and hold him, he just whined and he cried. And then, oh my god, I love Triple H's whining and crying, faking shit. I love it, man. He says that he was almost like a crutch for Rollins there to stand on. And then he said, isn't it funny that last week, the crutch picked up an actual crutch and beat Rollins senseless with it? Dude, this guy, I'm telling you, he's one of the best promos in the history of the business. Holy hell. He says he guarantees that Rollins will not be at WrestleMania and that he may not even come back ever again. So as far as he's concerned, he's done with Rollins, period. Then he tells Cole, just so people don't think that he's heartless, he says, give these to Rollins next time you see him. They were 2 comp tickets to WrestleMania. Says they ain't front row, they're up in the nosebleeds somewhere, but hey, at least he'll still be able to hear the roar of the crowd. Then, as he's about to leave, he says, wait, give me those back. He starts thinking. He starts hearkening back to him and Shawn Michaels, SummerSlam 2002. Remember? SummerSlam 2002, Eric Bischoff wouldn't allow the fight. Remember that. So, he then says, give me those back. What if there is a way that I could make it to where me and Rollins could fight at WrestleMania? Cole says, oh, well, there's no way. They were just saying that nobody in their right minds would clear Rollins. Then, then Triple H says, oh, but trust me, there's a way. There is always a way. Rollins wants me. I want Rollins. I'm in the best shape of my damn life. Then he gets a cheap pop by asking the crowd what they think of it, which is really odd, considering that he was just trashing the crowd for roaring and bringing Seth Rollins and Mick Foley to their demise. I found that very odd that he went ahead and asked the crowd what they thought. There were yes chants like crazy. Triple H says that he could get, I believe it was called a hold harmless document, for a non-sanctioned match at WrestleMania, and that if Seth would sign it, then the match would happen. Says that he would be there next week with the paperwork and that Rollins should show up next week and sign them to show the fans who he really is, show them that he is Seth freaking Rollins, or otherwise he will simply be considered a freaking coward. This was an incredible segment. Holy shit. That was segment of the night, man. Hands down. And again, as I said, Triple H is one of the best promos in the history of the WWE. And if you don't agree with that, then I don't know who else you think could be, any better currently right now than Triple H. Then there were Sheamus and Cesaro versus the only other 2 teams on Raw, seemingly. And then if Sheamus and Cesaro lose, that they are out of WrestleMania. And guess what? I don't care. I should be, you know what, this is a babyface team. I should be, hoping and praying that they come out on top so that they stay in WrestleMania. But at this point, I could care less. I'd be like, they were out of WrestleMania. Whereas, what I should be doing is I should be like, please, I want Sheamus and Cesaro to win this so bad. I want them to be in that match at WrestleMania, please. That's what I should be doing. That's what the fans at home should be doing. But since you treat your show like a joke, nobody cares. So, Cass, the funny thing, Cass came out and he had almost no motivation in his promo tonight. It was weird. I noticed no motivation out of Cass tonight in his promo. But then immediately when they get to the ring, Anderson and Gallows start beating up their own tag team partners, which makes no goddamn sense. Because you're talking like, if you as the champions, I want you to think about this. If you were one half of the tag team champions, and you simply had to team up with another team that you maybe didn't like all that much, to potentially just make it a 2v2 tag team match for your titles instead of a triple threat match for your titles, I would team up. I would go ahead and make this a true 4-on-2 handicap, beat the shit out of the other team, and then just, make it a 2-on-2, and then have the two teams that just teamed up stare down each other after the match. Pin Sheamus and Cesaro. Who cares? They don't mean anything anymore. So I don't get it, man. They started beating up on Enzo and Cass. Cass started beating up Gallows on the outside. Anderson was left alone. He took a double team bro kick from Sheamus and Cesaro. 1, 2, 3, triple threat remains at Mania. This whole thing is a fucking joke. It is a joke, is what it is. New Day backstage with Xavier back there as well. Shocking, bro. Big E was asking if Xavier had anything to share with the crowd, with Xavier having a straight as hell face. It was funny. Basically, promo for Mania, talking about all the matches, blah, blah, blah. Then we had Austin Aries versus Tony Nese. The best part of this match was I saw that Raw would be in Philadelphia next week and not Pittsburgh, thank God. Some people who actually know what the fuck they're talking about. If you remember the 2015 Royal Rumble, they know what they're talking about. And then basically this Austin Aries match, it was all about the finish. Pendulum elbow from Austin Aries, missile dropkick, 2 running discus forearms, 1, 2, 3. The best part of this match was honestly what went down afterwards. Neville comes out. Aries says, I don't have an exclusive interview with you tonight. What the hell are you doing here? Neville says that he could come down to the ring anytime he wants to, and that he doesn't need an interview, and that he could come down to the ring and obliterate Austin Aries just like he's done to the rest of them in the back. And then Austin says that he's simply looking at a man who is afraid of getting in the ring with someone not on his level, but above his level. And then he tells him to cling to that title of king for as long as he can until WrestleMania. Then we had a preview for the return of Emma. When the fuck is this happening? If this is happening on the Raw after WrestleMania, then tell me it's happening on the Raw after WrestleMania. What the shit? I don't understand it. Like, they just say, coming soon. I hope we won't have to wait another 17 goddamn weeks for this freaking thing to come to fruition. I certainly hope that we won't have to wait that long. They announced that Goldberg and Lesnar will meet for the first time next week in Philadelphia at Monday Night Raw, which is, I guess, going to be interesting. Then we had Reigns versus Strowman. Oh my god. Of course, Reigns is in the main event because of fucking course. This is Roman Reigns we're talking about. This is Vincent Kennedy McMahon's pet project we're talking about here. Strowman was getting cheers in the back before the match when he was saying that he wasn't just gonna face Roman Reigns, he was gonna destroy Roman Reigns, and that Undertaker would need a shovel to scrape Roman up after he was done with him. That got cheers. Roman, early on in the match, was trying to do a drive-by, and it was countered into a brutal clothesline by Braun Strowman. I'm skipping a little bit ahead in this match, by the way, in case you couldn't tell. Again, Roman attempted drive-by, countered into a brutal clothesline by Braun Strowman at the apron. Strowman was looking dominant, but just you wait. Just you wait. If you've ever seen more than one Roman Reigns match, just you wait. Whenever the opponent starts looking dominant, Roman began to fade from a chin lock. Again, just you wait. Then they started getting the let's go Roman sucks chants going, which was great. Then this match really started to slow down with a lot of rest holds, a lot of back and forth, a lot of just throws into the corner, a lot of just right hands being thrown. And then they started chanting, "We want Taker," as this match went on. The match got pretty slow at the end, as I said. Roman got Strowman up for a Samoan drop because, he's strong. They gotta make Roman look strong as fuck. They can't have Roman looking weak, not one single time. But he's strong, so they had to show that by him getting Braun Strowman up for a Samoan drop. Roman gets up after a brutal hit into the steps by Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman was about to swing the steps at Roman. Roman hits a Superman punch. Then Braun Strowman counters another attempted Superman punch. He goes to pick Roman Reigns up, and then Roman Superman punches him again. 2 Superman punches in a row. And then Roman goes into the corner to do his typical spear bullshit. He does the ooh-ah, and then gong. Undertaker's music hits. The lights go out. And then they come up like 5 seconds later with Taker standing in between Reigns and Strowman. They stare down. They stare down. Taker and Reigns have a stare down before Taker delivers a chokeslam to Strowman. What? I thought that this whole Taker-Strowman thing was laid to rest a couple of weeks ago on Raw whenever Strowman just kind of, nodded his head at Undertaker. Was kind of like, yeah, I got you. We'll have our day, just not now. That was kind of the unceremonious ending to this whole Taker-Strowman shit. But apparently not, because Taker went and delivered a chokeslam to Strowman. Reigns spears Undertaker, and then as he was leaving, I was like, please, dear God, Undertaker, do not end this Raw laying on your back. Undertaker, no. Undertaker, no. Please sit up. Taker, please sit up. And then just as Roman is about to make it to the top of the ramp, he looks back at the ring. Taker sits up. That alone saved this whole goddamn thing. Taker sits up in the ring, gets up, does the freaking cutthroat thing. I can't roll my eyes back like Mark Calloway can, but he does a cutthroat thing. And then the show goes off the air. So that was it for Monday Night Raw. That main event raised a lot more questions. That had me thinking, is Strowman going to get added into this? Are we going to have a triple threat match for The Undertaker at WrestleMania, which would be complete bullshit? Because The Undertaker, I don't think... Has The Undertaker ever had a triple threat match at WrestleMania? Or of all of his WrestleMania... I believe all of his WrestleMania matches have been one-on-one. I don't think he's ever had a triple threat. So, I'm thinking that, who knows, they may be going in the direction of trying to turn this into a triple threat, which would be bullshit. But regardless, that was it for this Monday Night Raw. Honestly, I just don't care to go on anymore. It's just, it's the same shit that I'm saying every single week now. It's just like, Roman sucks. This show isn't gonna get over. This show being 3 hours is terrible. This show has its moments. This show had like 3 good segments in it all night. This show had little bursts of good moments, but nothing else. It's the same shit. So anyway, regardless of that, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please do leave a like down below. Also, comment down below. Let me know how big of a dumpster fire you thought Monday Night Raw was tonight. And then also, do not forget to click the little red button down below and subscribe. And ring the bell as well so that you get automatic notifications anytime that I upload anything to YouTube whatsoever. Also, do not forget to check out my Pro Wrestling Crate opening from earlier today. I did a Pro Wrestling Crate unboxing, man. Legends of Indie Wrestling. It was absolutely incredible, man. An unbelievable box. Go in and watch that. And, prepare to be amazed at the amazing loot that I got out of that goddamn wrestling crate. So, like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to go and watch my Pro Wrestling Crate unboxing from earlier in the day. But on that note, that is all from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, I hit my pop filter there. I'm sorry. But on that note, you guys keep yourself safe. And I will see you tomorrow for SmackDown review. But regardless, I will see you at a later date. Farewell.